In the tranquil college town of Moscow, Idaho, the morning of November 13, 2022 began like any typical Sunday. Yet the events of that early morning would send shockwaves through the local community, capturing national attention. In the early morning hours, 4 university students were brutally murdered in an off-campus residence. After 2.5 years of investigations, court proceedings, and intense national scrutiny, the case has finally reached its conclusion. But to grasp what unfolded, we must revisit the evening of November 12, 2022. Kaylee Goncalves and her best friend Madison Mogen decided to let loose and enjoy a night out. Recovered security footage shows them walking through the downtown Moscow area, appearing to have a typical night. Not far away, Xana Kernodle and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin were at a frat house party having a blast. All 4 friends returned to the house where Goncalves, Mogen, and Kernodle lived, which conveniently was 0.2 miles away from the University of Idaho. With it being a perfectly located 3-story house, the first floor was occupied by 2 other students, Mr. Mortensen and Ms. Funk. As the night wound down, everyone settled into bed, unaware of the tragedy that loomed hours away. Between 4 o'clock and 4:25 a.m., the perpetrator, armed with a large knife, moved through the home with deadly precision. Goncalves and Mogen were found in a bedroom on the 3rd floor. Kernodle and Chapin were discovered in a bedroom on the 2nd floor. The assault was swift and brutal, claiming 4 young lives filled with potential. The 2 surviving roommates had been in their rooms on the 1st floor and were reported to be uninjured. The random nature of who was targeted became one of the most haunting elements of the investigation. The Moscow Police Department, working with the FBI and Idaho State Police, launched what police described as a massive and very complex investigation. Initially, there were no clear suspects, and the murder weapon remained elusive. According to the unsealed court documents, stab wounds and sharp force injuries were present on the victims' bodies. The lack of suspects, as well as the violent nature of the crime, created uncertainty for investigators and fear among the community. As the weeks unfolded, authorities received thousands of tips and conducted hundreds of interviews. They scrutinized digital evidence, examined surveillance footage, and pursued every lead. A crucial breakthrough occurred when detectives identified a white Hyundai Elantra spotted near the crime scene, around the time of the murders. This vehicle became vital to the investigation. The investigation pivoted when police traced the vehicle to Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old student at Washington State University, located just across the state line. At the time, Kohberger was a criminology Ph.D. student, studying criminal justice and criminology. The clip seen here was from when Kohberger and his father were pulled over December 15, 2022 during a cross-country drive. On December 30, 2022, over 6 weeks after the murders, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. This arrest followed hours of surveillance and meticulous DNA evidence collection, linking him to the crime scene. Kohberger was facing 4 charges of first-degree murder and 1 charge of burglary. The criminal complaint indicated that his DNA had allegedly been located at the scene and that his phone was in the area multiple times prior to the murders. Cell phone data showed his device near the victim's house on at least 12 occasions leading up to the attack, one time even being pulled over 2 minutes after stalking the house for over an hour. For months, Kohberger insisted on his innocence. His defense team initially intended to argue that he was not present during the murders as he was stargazing, then even suggesting that other culprits could be involved. After more than 2 years filled with legal procedures, appeals, and delays, the case took an unexpected turn. Just weeks before his trial was set to begin, Kohberger accepted a plea deal. On July 2, 2025, he appeared in court and pleaded guilty to all charges, 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. The plea agreement allowed Kohberger to evade the death penalty, in exchange for 4 life sentences without parole, waiving rights to appeal while doing so. The prosecution indicated they would pursue restitution for the loved ones affected by this tragedy. The victims' families reacted to the plea deal with mixed feelings. Some, like Madison Mogen's father, Ben, viewed it as an opportunity to avoid the anguish of a prolonged trial and instead focus on healing. Others had hoped for a trial that could unveil more details about the motive behind these tragic and senseless killings. Though the Idaho murders case has now closed, questions regarding motive may linger unanswered indefinitely. 4 promising young lives, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were tragically cut short. Their families, friends, and the Moscow community will continue to grieve their loss while striving to honor their memories. Bryan Kohberger will spend his life in prison, with a sentencing date set for July 23, 2025. This tragedy has affected many people. We invite you to share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. Our team's thoughts and condolences go out to the families and friends who continue to carry this loss.